Today with Talking Scuba, I'm going to be explaining to you how I use my Suunto Eon Core dive computer, and I'm going to run through how you use the DM5 software to set it up. When I first got my Suunto, I didn't have a clue what to do with it. It had so many functions and features and so many bits you could program. I didn't know what I needed, I didn't know why they were there, and I didn't know how to use them. So if I explain to you how over 150 dives now, I've sorted it out. If you copy what I do to start with, you won't go too far wrong. At least this way you've got somewhere to start. I didn't have that. And this way, if after a few dives you want to make any changes, you'll know why you want to make the change, you'll know what the change is, and you'll know how to do it. Now this screen you've been staring at is how my Suunto looks when I power it up. I dig it out of the drawer ready for a dive, I push the middle button, and that's what it looks like. And that's the layout I have. You can have another layout, it's up to you, but it displays the same information with the same size font, so it doesn't make it any easier to read, it's just a different layout. So this is the one that I have. Now I'm going to keep coming back to the different screens. There are 4 of them, and I'm going to run through the 4 screens that I use when I'm diving. We'll call this screen 1 for the want of anything else. It's the first screen that comes on when I push the middle button. The 2 big zeros on the left stay there, they don't change, they're always there for you. The little bar on the left is always there, and that stays there for you. It is there for when you go up. It goes from green, amber, and goes all the way up to the top at red. And you can guess that if it's red, you're going up too quickly. If it's green or amber, your ascent rate is just fine. The 2 figures on the right are the ones that change. Your primary indicator is the one in the big circle, obviously. At the moment, that's giving my date, and below it, in that particular window, it displays my tank pressure in bar. 1 push of the middle button and we go to screen 2. And here the only thing that's changed are the 2 figures on the right hand side. My big circle now displays my tank pressure, and the indicator below to me tells me that it's my left tank. And the reason I know that is because in my right tank I have nitrox 32. Another push of the middle button for screen 3, and we have my timer in the circle, and underneath that my tank pressure. And my 4th screen is the compass. On the right hand side in the big circle, that's the way we're heading, and below that I have a timer. I'm going to explain now why I have it set up this way. So we're going to go back to screen 1. Now this particular screen, Suunto call the default screen. It changes when you go in the water. If set up like this, you flip in the water, that big green circle will display your no decompression time automatically. You don't have to do anything. It knows you don't want the day and date anymore while you're in the water, you've got other things to look at, so it automatically changes to tell you your decompression time, your no deco time. It'll count down. Now before I flip into the water, I push my middle button once and I change to screen 2. This is the screen I keep throughout my dive. I can watch my depth, top left, I can see my dive time ticking away, I can see my tank pressure, top right in the big circle, and below that I can confirm at all times that I'm on my left tank. Now let's be frank, that's all I need. I need to know how deep I am, how long I've been down there, and how much air I've got left. I don't need any more than that. But things change. I know that my depth is going to vary, I expect that. I expect my dive time to count up, I expect that. And I know that my air is going to reduce, and it'll go from 220 bar and slowly work its way down. So eventually I'll get to the point where my dive time is showing 30 odd minutes, 40 minutes. My depth will be showing 20 or 30 meters, whatever. And my tank pressure is going to be showing less than 100 bar. So something else needs to happen. Now there are two reasons why I would have to finish a dive. One is my tank is starting to get too low, so I need to go to the surface, or I'm starting to take on board too much nitrogen. So depending on how deep and how long I've been down there, I might like to know if I'm approaching my no deco limit. So I go back to screen 1 and it will tell me in the circle how much time I have left to run before I get to the point where I must turn the dive, because I'm entering a no deco area, which I may not be qualified to do. And scrolling around now to screen 3 again, the timer. You might want to use a timer if, I don't know, you're heading down the side of a wreck and you just want to know that you've gone for 10 minutes and you'll turn around after 10 minutes. You've allowed yourself 20 minutes to go and do something, and then you want to go in a different direction. And the timer, when it goes off, will give a little beep. You can feel it buzzing on your wrist, and a useful little tool. You can just set the timer, you can clear it down using the top 2 buttons. How to do that is in the manuals, just showing you what the screen looks like. And again, with my timer, I have my tank bar showing at the bottom right. That's what it looks like when it's actually attached to a cylinder. Nice and clear, nice and easy to use, but I can watch my tank pressure counting down as my timer ticks up. So quite a useful little tool, and that's why I like it set up like that. When I'm on my timer, it means I'm doing something. If I'm watching the clock, I can also watch my tank pressure at the same time. And I have a 4th screen set to show my compass. I don't carry another compass, so I rely on this one. If you look at the screen though, you'll see that the compass at the top is in the circle, and that's a useful thing to have. And underneath that I have my timer. If I'm heading off in a particular direction, I want to know how long I'm going one way so I can turn around and have the same time coming back. So I have my timer showing when I flip my compass on. Right, next step is to show you how to set these screens up. Just because I've got my timer underneath the compass, you don't have to. You might prefer to have something else. So we'll go into the DM5 bit of software, plug the Suunto into that, then we'll show you where to go from there, and I'll show you what other options you have as well. But what we're interested in today is customizing the display. So going up to the top of the screen, it's got customization, and it will show all 4 of my screens. And it's saying there, look, it knows I'm on GrandpaNitrox. It knows I've got 4 screens. I'm going to edit them. So what I'm going to do is look at, for example, this first view. There are 4 there. I'm going to remove 3 of them. So now I've got 1 view left, and it's the tank pressure view. So when you open the app, I think initially it gives you 1 view, and you can add 1, 2, 3 or 4. You only have a choice of the 4, and you can see there from the drop down window it can either be the default, the tank pressure, the compass, or you go back to the timer. So if I just look at the default setup, there it is. I'm going to get rid of these drop downs on the right. You just need the 1. And these little drop downs here refer to this window there. That's your switchable field. You can switch that field till the cows come home. So the default gives you the time and the date, or your no deco. Your tank pressure gives you the pressure, and at the moment we've got our maximum depth here. So I'm going to get rid of these for the time being. We don't need them. And I'm going to put, we've got tank pressure. Let's have our consumption being displayed. So that is what we've got at the moment. And if I hit OK at the top, if I go up to the top here and synchronize, it'll tie this in. It'll change my views over. It'll have this one. If I've decided I want something else other than tank pressure, if for example I want my first field to be default, I might want my second field to be my tank pressure. So there are the two fields, the two windows now that my computer is going to display. Now at the moment it's picked up maximum depth, but when I've got tank pressure, I might rather have my current gas situation, what I'm breathing. I could have my timer if I wanted that. So now I've got my default, I've got tank pressure. I could, if I wished, have my compass next, if I want a compass. And in the window there at the bottom, in the switchable field, I could have my average depth if I wanted it. You can choose whichever you like. And then the last window, if I want all four, is what have I got so far? I've got the pressure, compass, default. I guess it's time, isn't it? So there we are. And in that bottom switchable window, the timer, I might have my tank pressure. I like my tank pressure. And if that's what I want to keep, then that's what I'll keep. And once you hit synchronize, it will tie that into your Suunto. And that's basically how you set up the screens on your Eon Core. So on the same app, if you look over here on the left, this column here are the dives that my Suunto downloaded. Every time you plug your computer in to your laptop, your Suunto into your laptop, it'll download any dives that you've done in the past. So just for example, look, 17th of last year, it gives the dive profile. I like this to look back on my dives afterwards, and very quickly, over on the far right hand side over here, you've got the, in my case, the pressure of my cylinder. So if I move my mouse, my little hand across here to the left, there's a little dot working its way across the bottom of the curve. And if you look up on the right hand side here, you'll see the tank bar. So I can see at any point in the dive how much gas I had in the tank. That little symbol there at the bottom, the asterisk, is telling me my tank pressure alarm. The reason I've gone and shown you this dive is, as you know, I've got two cylinders. We're down at 30 meters and we've done 34, 35, 36 minutes here, bottom time. And what we were doing is my buddy and I had found an anchor, and we were quite engrossed in unhooking it, collecting as much rope as we could with it, and I cancelled the tank alarm. I knew my left cylinder was running low. I'd used a fair bit of gas inflating the lifting bag. So the alarm went off a bit earlier than I was expecting, but never mind. Anyway, I completely ignored it, got on with helping my buddy move this anchor about. And if you look up on the top right hand side, you'll see my tank pressure is down at 32 bar there. Now it's down at 29, 21, 18. And over here, when I changed my cylinder over, I actually ran out of air. Look, 3 bar, and it dropped down to nothing. I ran out of gas. I didn't think to change. I thought I was just getting exhausted, tired, and pulling the anchor about and lugging it across the seabed. And no, I'd run out of gas. So you can see that other symbol there with the 2 arrows going left and right. That's me changing over to my other tank. My other tank is indicating there it had 188 bar in it. So that was fine. But anyway, that's the profile, the dive profile. You can see how deep you went and at what time. If I hit the pressure button right at the top here, that gives me my tank pressure. So I start off with a full tank, and after 28 minutes I had an empty tank. I changed up here to my full tank, and then I surfaced with just under 100 bar. The details of the dive, they're listed there. The surface time, the average depth, etc., etc. The profile, you can spot any the alarms, voluntary safety stop, surfaced with 97 bar. The mixtures that I used, this is where I set up my dive profile, so I can actually work out how much gas I've got, how much I can use. Here, for example, I've told it I've got Nitrox 34, told my dive time, my maximum operating depth. Now over here, this part here where it's got new plan, I could create a new plan. And I can just tell it how deep I want to go, how long I want to stay there for, my air, and it'll give me a little chart here and let me know how much gas I'm going to use. So a very, very useful little app. If I want to go back to playing around with my settings again for my device, you go to the About, General Settings are in the middle, so you can set your standby, your brightness and all those great things. And then there's your customization sheet again. Very quickly here, the dive algorithm, you're fixed at the Suunto fused RGBM, there is no other. The dive type is open circuit as opposed to closed circuit. Closed circuit rebreather, so we're not a rebreather, we've got open circuit. My personal setting, I've got P-1. P0 is in between, P-1 is a little bit more aggressive. The Suunto algorithm is very generous, very giving. I've ticked multiple gases because I tell it I've got more than one gas. Looking at the current gases down here, I think I've said before, I always mark my left tank, or call my left tank an odd number. So a Nitrox 31, for example, with my right tank being Nitrox 32. It's the only way I can get the computer to indicate to me which gas I've got. At the moment it's got current gas is air, look, but I could tell the software that I've got 31 and 32. So if I look at my dive plans here, yeah, there we are, look, Nitrox 31 and then Nitrox 32. It's this way you tell the computer what you've got. So although the Suunto won't tell me left tank or right, it will tell me my Nitrox mix, and provided I always label them up the same, I know by looking at my Suunto which tank I'm looking at. But that's really, you can play with it a bit more, but that's the DM5 software that comes with, I think, pretty much all Suunto devices. Right, on to the next bit. There are a couple of settings you need to know how to get at, and one of them is gases. So from the home screen, one long push, and there is gases. And if you don't land on gases straight away, just use the buttons to scroll up and down until you do. One short push on the middle button takes you into gases, and you can see my Suunto knows I've got two gases, Nitrox 31 and Nitrox 32. If I wanted to add air, I just push the Add New button. If I give the top button there a quick push and indicate Nitrox 32, it'll drop down to the centre, and you can have a quick look at the settings. You can see that you've set an 8 litre tank. The tank pressure is reading 63 bar. So I would scroll through these before each dive just to make sure I've got the right tank size set and to confirm that the tank pod is transmitting the pressure. When I'm down on the bottom and I've used my right tank and I want to switch to the left, this is the procedure I go through. I just push the button, go to gases and switch over from Nitrox 31 to Nitrox 32, because for me Nitrox 31 is my left tank and Nitrox 32 is my right tank. You can add as many gases as you like, just remember to select the correct one before your dive. And that, my scuba diving friends, is it for today. I'll be doing another video going through more of the settings that I use on the Eon Core, but that's for another video. But in the meantime, I've got a favour to ask, if you're still there listening, that is. Perhaps if you'd like to see any more videos, maybe you'd click on the subscribe button or leave a comment. Maybe you've had other experiences of the Suunto Eon Core. There'll be other viewers that would like to see those comments, I'm sure. But the most important thing is to keep diving. I'm out in the cold English Channel. I hope you guys are too. But whatever you do, keep diving and keep safe. Take care.